You've seen my videos and you know the importance of copper in flashlights. It helps manage heat in high-powered flashlights and makes you realize how pathetic and ugly your plain old aluminum flashlight is. So throw away your old S2 aluminum baton and check out the new copper version, available at goinggear.com. The Copper S2 baton is made from uncoated raw copper, so it will dull and become personalized due to the air and your finger filth over time. The S2 baton features a Cree XML2 cool white emitter housed behind something called a PMMA TIR optic, which gives you a large hotspot. It also features a strong magnet in the tail cap, so you can use it as a work light or whatever. The baton runs off of one 18650 battery or two non-rechargeable CR123A batteries. It comes in a box with a deep carry pocket clip, a diffuser cone, and a battery magazine to prevent battery rattle if you're using CR123A batteries. One thing to note about copper is that it's heavier than aluminum. And you're like, of course it is, flashlight bro. So here are some very basic dimensions of the light, like diameter and length and the weight of the light. But let's weigh a few other everyday carry lights and set them side by side. Hopefully you can get a better idea of the weight with a battery. Okay, so how about the output modes? Like always, my figures and Olight's figures are side by side. Of course, when I'm reviewing other lights, I won't have Olight's figures there. You're like, okay, moving on. Any good everyday carry light will have a moonlight mode. This one is nice and low, even lower than the S2A baton. It's pretty close to my zebra lights. Then is low. Then is mid. Then is high. Then is turbo. Now turbo has a time step down starting at 2 minutes. It's kind of a gradual step down, not like a hard cut, which is why I said starting at 2 minutes. Now the user interface. The light has an electronic switch, so if you're not going to be using it for long periods of time, remove the battery because there's no way to lock it out mechanically, as in like unscrewing the tail cap. That's what I mean by mechanically. So it's got 5 good modes and 1 blinking one. From off, press, and hold for moonlight mode. This is the only way to get to moonlight mode. It's never saved into mode memory, and you can't access it from the other modes. To get into regular mode, loop, you can press and hold after you're in moonlight mode or a quick press from off. Then press and hold to go from low, mid, high, and then turbo. And then it loops over again. To get to turbo from off, double click the switch. When you access turbo through a shortcut, it isn't saved into mode memory. But if you access turbo by going through the main loop, like pressing and holding, it will be saved into mode memory. There's one strobe. Do a triple click from off or on to get to it. Woo! There's also a 3-minute and a 9-minute timer that will shut the light off after those amounts of time if you choose to activate it. It works on all modes. Now to do this, be in the mode you choose and double click. Once for 3 minutes and you'll see a blink once, or if you want to set it for 9 minutes, double click for 9 minutes, you'll see 2 blinks. This seems like a good idea for camping or a nightlight so that you don't accidentally fall asleep with your light still running. Okay, now the run times. I use protected Sanyo 3500 milliamp hour high drain cells. Those are also Panasonic's. Turbo steps down from over 1,000 lumens to about 520 lumens over a minute or 2 period starting at 2 minutes. It then runs for about 2 hours and 40-ish minutes before a big drop off in brightness. And it declines over the next few hours. I ended the test at 7.5 hours with light still coming out. And if you're wondering if the turbo timer can be reset by turning on and off the light, you can do that, but you know, it gets pretty hot. Cool, now high. High runs a bit longer before that big drop in brightness. You get mostly solid light for 3 hours and 20 minutes before a big drop in brightness begins. It runs for about 7 hours. I think the light finally shut off this time at about 7 hours and 30 minutes in. Again, remember, I'm using a 3500 milliamp hour battery. If you're using a crap battery or a lower milliamp hour rated one, then you're going to get shorter run times. And then medium, because I had, nothing better to do. Medium gives you about 100 lumens of light for about 18.5 hours before it starts dimming. It shuts off entirely just under 24 hours in. It's a nice long run time though, and I sped it up real fast to get it done real quick. You knew it was coming, now it's Beamshot time. Here are the lights I'm comparing the Olight S2 Baton Copper to. My personally measured figures are on screen and no one else's. All lights are set to their maximum brightness per flashlight science versus the Olight S2. Because of the optic, it has a large even hot spot with a little bit of spill. It's not designed to be a throwy light, but it still does very well for 120 feet away. Although at this distance it looks more like all flood. Next is my Zebra light. It's throwier and has a more neutral tint than the Olight. The Olight is a cool tint, remember, because it has a reflector and a high intensity emitter. Then there's a Nikkor MH20 GT, which is an EDC or everyday carry size light with a bigger reflector and throwier emitter than the Copper Baton, which is still here. See, there's a copper. Then is the super throwy EC4 GT, which is another class size of light. It's a much bigger light, and it's not everyday carry, unless you like carrying shit on your belt. But it shows you what size light you need to upgrade to get a lot more throw. Now back to the Baton for a minute, or, just a few seconds. Okay, now the Copper X5, another copper light. Woo! The light is also much throwier than the Copper Baton, but the head diameter is bigger, so it's not as pocket friendly and uses a much smaller capacity battery, so the runtimes suck. And finally, how about another Baton, the S2A, which is powered off AA's. I'll be doing this review soon, so look for it. It's definitely not a throwy light. It's about half the power on turbo than the S2 Baton. So yeah, maybe 120 foot's a little too much for it. Okay, so copper lights look cool, which is why I like them, and why other people like them, unless they're being brainwashed by the copper lobby. You heard it here first. If you're sensitive to heavier loads in your pants, then maybe it's not a pocketable light for you. This version appears to be nearly identical in operation and output modes to the S2. You just get the cool copper. The machining on the light is excellent, and the knurling gives some nice texture to the light. I don't normally discuss knurling because it doesn't really, I'm a little indifferent to it, but it's nice here. The stainless steel pocket clip is nice and deep, and the light is slim enough for the battery size it uses. The magnet is strong enough to hold the light horizontally or vertically. The light is durable and made with high quality components and has plenty of light outputs for an everyday carry light. I really, really like it, maybe even love. But maybe that's the copper or the alcohol talking. Maybe we'll check in a few months of carrying to see how it looks. Also, make sure you realize the battery positive end is inserted toward the tail cap, which is different than a lot of other lights, but like some other Olights. The good news is the light has reverse polarity protection, which I tested multiple times unknowingly because I put the battery in the wrong way. It's waterproof and dustproof to IPX8 standards, like all good flashlights are. It just looks better doing it. So if you like this video, like my video, comment on it. Watch out for more Olight reviews so I can finally get my kid out of Hawk. Okay, that was a joke. Olight is not holding my kid for ransom. Thanks for watching.